something on social media, I would probably stay away from that because you're potentially providing bad information to the public, and we don't want to send people into any kind of panic. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
There we just heard from Troy Police Lieutenant Ben Hancock. They do believe they know who the shooter is and that shooter is no longer, they're said pretty confident, no longer at that hospital and that search is ongoing. We do know that this was between two people. It happened in the parking garage, a shooting where 5 shots were fired. The victim was shot 2 times in the arm and is getting medical treatment in the hospital. That victim is a 25-year-old male from Troy. That victim is alive and is also listed in stable condition according to that lieutenant. Now let's move forward. They're still having the hospital on lockdown as they continue to clear it, but they feel confident the shooter's no longer there.
Yeah, and the lieutenant wouldn't make that statement if they weren't pretty confident that the shooter isn't there. That doesn't take away from the trauma that everyone's experienced, but we can breathe a bigger sigh of relief knowing that that they've cleared the hospital, they cleared those medical buildings across the street, they cleared the parking garage. And cleared means that the police officers have gone room by room. They've gone to every nook and cranny, and they've checked to make sure that that the shooter isn't still present there. This situation, the lieutenant spoke about dogs, helicopters, drones. I mean, they're doing everything they can. The biggest thing is for this, we know that this is an individual, isolated incident. He confirmed that these employees, that they know one another, that this was an employee-employee thing. And again, people still have to be vigilant, be careful, but those are things that we can breathe a collective sigh of relief on, knowing that the building has been searched, that it's been cleared.
That there's not an active shooter in that building.
Absolutely.
But this was an isolated incident between 2 employees, so certainly anybody who works there, this deeply impacts them, knowing that these are staff members that they work with. One listed in stable condition, but the other is someone that shot at someone 5 times, that 2 shots actually hitting that victim, and now that person is out in the community somewhere. And as we mentioned, this happened sometime around 7:30, so it's been a couple of hours now that this person has been able to move around. I wanted you to touch on the fact that the lieutenant there said that they don't want to give out any more information about the suspect. They know who they're looking for. They know that because the victim gave them the description and the identity, but they're not sharing that with the public.
Yeah, and one of the key things, too, is to make sure
that
the public, those other employees who know or may have heard, don't share that information. What you're doing, if you put the information out, it could be erroneous, or you can put valid information out and you give this particular individual a head start. You put them in a position where they may be watching, they may be listening, and they know where the police are or how the police are going to respond. So we don't want to put out any information that we don't know is valid, or any information that's going to jeopardize the investigation or cause more people to be hurt, quite frankly. So we have to be mindful of that.
But it does also bring about another level of anxiety and fear to the greater community. Now we know it's not just isolated in this hospital or this hospital complex, but there is somebody that has just shot someone that is out somewhere, and police are trying to find that person. So now if we live in these areas that surround Troy and Sterling Heights and Rochester Hills, or however far this person could have gotten, what should we do if we think we see something?
The best thing to do is...
And what should we be looking for?
At this point, now that things have calmed down, just be looking for anything that may be suspicious, may be strange. Now that the building has been cleared, you can report something that may not rise to the level of super dangerous. But if you see somebody that doesn't belong or doesn't fit in that area, you can call and report it.
And should we, I'm thinking if I lived in that area, should I stay in my house? Should I?
Until you feel comfortable with leaving. I mean, and that's just the thing, until you're comfortable now.
Right. We do want to get back out to Nick Monticelli, who is there on scene. Nick?
Hey, Rhonda, so I'm currently using my cell phone to bring you these live images. This is the neighborhood that is directly south of the hospital, and you can see there are a lot of officers between MSP, Troy, even Southfield is out here assisting. And what I think they're doing is they're canvassing, maybe calling for some canine backup. This is a wooded area, as I zoom out here a little bit, that is directly adjacent to the hospital. So if you see right here, that is a Southfield PD car. And just beyond the edge of this road here and to the east a little bit is where the hospital property begins. So what you've got here are these officers searching this area. I'm not sure if it's just out of an abundance of caution or if it's because they believe that the suspect came through here. But I don't know if you can tell from my cell phone video, which I apologize, but there are some cars at the other end of that road, and there are a lot of officers in this area. Oh, you know what? I think I hear a drone that might be above me at this time now too. Oh, sorry about that. So they are intently searching this area. So they must, for whatever reason, believe that the suspect came through this wooded area. If they found evidence or whatever it might be. So after hearing that press conference and the information provided by Troy PD, it kind of lends itself to understand a little bit better as to what may have happened, at least in the hospital. I did have an opportunity to speak to somebody who was in the emergency room when this all started going down, and said that he saw people tending to the victim. Here is a tactical unit arriving here. Let's see. I hear something. Yes. Okay, I'm going to look up. This is going to be pretty bad on live TV. I apologize. But there is a drone up in the sky. There it is right there. And they are searching this wooded area as we speak. So again, I could not tell you what it is that led them to this area, why they believe the suspect came through here, but certainly it was enough to believe that they needed all these resources to start searching and understanding what may have happened here.
Nick,
you can see them clustering together next to that vehicle. Go ahead, Darnell.
Yeah, them being in that particular area and bringing the tactical unit out, it speaks to that they believe that the individual, if not is still in that area, they've at least gone through that area. They're staging to wait to make sure that they have enough manpower and the appropriate manpower to go in just in case. We know he's armed, or he or she is armed, or we know he's armed to go in this situation. And so there's a strong possibility they believe that the individual is still in this particular area. That's why they're there and they're staging.
And I think you said two things there. One, that person could be in that area, or that there could be a scent that person has gone through that area. Because as I look here, you said it's a staging area, and I'm only speaking to the fact that it's right near where people live who could be watching their TV right now wondering the same thing, what's going on. But it does appear that those officers are standing, they're calm, they're not moving. But I do want to point out that anybody who lives in the surrounding areas, if you have Ring cameras or any type of surveillance around your house, that you should be looking at those, because you could potentially be helpful to police.
Yeah, it could be very helpful. And if you're in this particular area, in this where we're showing right now, you definitely want to shelter in place. You don't want to go out. You don't want to gawk. You just want to make sure that you are safe. And so staying in your house, making sure that all your doors are secured, your windows are secured. I don't want to alarm you, but just be safe. Make sure that if the police are in this area, make sure that your home, your garage, all those things are secure, and that no one has tried to enter your home. And if so, call right away and let somebody know. So this is kind of like, Ron, you were talking about, there's a strong possibility that the person that he's gone through this area or currently in the area, and that's why they're bringing these units out, and that's why they're waiting. They're developing a plan as to how they're going to approach it.
Again, they are searching for a male. That is the only description that we've been given by police. They've been very adamant about the fact that they know who they are looking for based on the victim's identification of the person that they were shot by. 2 employees were involved in this at the Corewell Health Troy location. The shooting happened in the parking garage of that location. But as a result of that, there was a massive police response from multiple jurisdictions, and the hospital and surrounding complexes were put on lockdown and secured room by room, floor by floor. And our last update from Troy Police was that they are confident confident that the shooter is no longer in the hospital or the hospital complex itself. They have done a thorough search there, but that shooter is still on the loose.
Well, I'm not sure how you guys want me to handle this. So
Okay, that's Nick. He's just getting some more
okay.
information. But Nick, your mic is hot with us, so just continue to give us descriptions of what you're seeing.
Sure. So as Darnell was talking in reference in the neighborhood, I kind of zoomed out, and I'll do it again here just as a reference point. So we are currently in a neighborhood that is the northwest corner of 19 Mile Road and DeQuinder, or Long Lake and DeQuinder, because as you know, those names change once you get into Oakland County, and DeQuinder is the borderline. So just so folks know, this is obviously a residential area. This is a neighborhood, and there's probably a couple hundred homes in here. So this section here, I would, as Darnell said, suggest you just kind of lock your doors and just stay inside for now, so we understand what's happening, and until we understand why you have all these officers out here. The drone is still flying. In fact, it's actually flying directly above me right now. You can see that little black speck in the sky as I zoom in a little bit, and it travels a little further north and away from my camera here. They are still searching that area to see if they can see anything in this wooded area. And if you didn't see before, I'll kind of do it again here. The hospital is directly on the other side of this, where the road ends. Sorry, my hand is in focus now at the road. There we go. And just around the corner is where the hospital property is. Got a couple officers here that are from Southfield and others that are continuing to search this area and point out what's going on as we kind of follow along with them and see what's happening here.
And Nick, we are listening in and watching in with you, but we wanted to allow Darnell to talk a little bit more about, just as we're observing it from a law enforcement perspective, what you can pick up from what you're seeing.
Yeah, and one of the things too is that you got Southfield out here who are not familiar with the area, so that is a challenge in and of itself. You got agencies that train together and work together, but when they leave the vicinity of the hospital, they're still going to collectively work together. But that's another challenge, is they don't know the terrain and having to walk through and try to figure out these particular areas. And so this is very important. The other thing I want to bring up as we look at the school bus here is that...
And we should mention, these are not students. These are actually workers with Corewell Health that are being evacuated, because we know parking structures and different things have been secured or locked down still, that this is the way that they're being released from their locations.
Yeah, and if you live in that neighborhood that we just showed, make sure that you check your interior doors, check your garage. The police are there for a reason. They suspect that the individual was in that area, so make sure that you have no glass broken. Make sure that, again, all your doors are locked. Just double check just to make sure, and if something is awry, call the police right away and let them know.
And certainly, as I mentioned before, if you live in any of these surrounding areas, if you have a Ring camera, if you have surveillance cameras on your home, that could be helpful to police.
Very
so you should take a look at that, or at least make sure that it's secure, because that could provide information. We do want to continue to stay in contact with Nick, who is in that wooded area by a neighborhood near Corewell Health.
So we're just kind of keeping an eye on this. Some of the officers just left, so that kind of huddle you saw here just a few moments ago is now disappeared, and you've got a tactical unit here, an MSP that is out here as well, but they are still blocking the street down on that end, although that officer is taken off from, it appears, the city of Utica. Southfield's still out here as well, and I believe this tactical unit is from Shelby Township and their police department. So I'm looking to see if I can find the drone operator.
It also sounds like we're hearing a helicopter, Nick.
There is, yeah. There's a helicopter and a drone right above me. I'm sure they're coordinating their altitudes. The drone obviously can't fly as high as the helicopter can.
Yeah, Nick,
there doesn't appear to be any sense of urgency amongst these officers. So I don't know if I don't think they believe, as that officer, takes his weapon down off. I don't think they believe that there is a suspect hiding here anymore. At least they're their stance tells me that.
Yeah, Nick, what they're doing looks like is establishing a perimeter. So of the area, again, the area that the suspect could have been in, and so you see these various vehicles being posted up in different areas, is because they want to make sure.
Well,
this
actually,
perimeter
Darnell, it appears to be the opposite. The perimeter is breaking down. That
Okay.
Southfield car just left
That-
over
okay,
there.
got it.
Yeah, and this one's leaving now. So they're breaking down now.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, initially they probably had the thought that they were in that particular area, decided that the individual hasn't come to this area. But again, you can only be vigilant. You have to be hyper vigilant. If you're a homeowner, still make sure that you shelter in place until you feel comfortable, until you get something from Troy PD that says that you can leave or you feel comfortable leaving your home, because this is a situation where we know the shooter is still on the loose, and we want to make sure that everybody's as safe as they can possibly be.
And also, this speaks to how you are providing, as we've been talking about throughout this morning, information that you think you may have, because that will get the police response to
Absolutely.
various areas. It is a massive area with a lot of different. We talked about buildings, wooded areas, neighborhoods that surround this entire complex that somebody could have left to on foot, but even by car, the perimeter can be much larger. So as you're thinking that you may see something or may have something helpful to police, that confirmation that it's related to this is very important.
It's very important, because you don't want to mislead them and send them in a direction where that person doesn't get apprehended or escapes or harms someone else even. So it's very, very important and essential.
We want to bring you up to speed. If you are just joining us now here at 9:37, we have been monitoring this since just after 7 o'clock this morning of a shooting that took place in the parking garage of the Corewell Health Troy Beaumont location between two employees. One of the employees, a male, 25 years old from Troy, was shot twice in the arm and is receiving medical treatment in the emergency department at that hospital. We're told that he is listed in stable condition and that there are no other victims. And so, as we've been talking about the massive lockdown and multiple jurisdiction police response, the floor by floor clearing of that hospital, room by room, and of course all the anxiety associated with that, we have comfort at least in knowing that there's not an active shooter at the hospital, but there is someone that has shot someone that is on the loose. And right now, police know who they're looking for, but in terms of where that person is or any description, we have not been provided with the description information for any of us to be the eyes and ears on the outside as police do their work. But it's important to them that they not share any other descriptive information at this time.
Absolutely, Rhonda. They want to make sure that the person's apprehended, so they're going to only give you the information they need to give you at this time to make sure that they can do everything to, make sure the person is apprehended, and that we as the public, general public, make sure that you don't disseminate any information. This is an employee-employee thing, relationship. We know that. And so we don't want to give this person a head start or anything. So we need to make sure that we don't, if you are involved, or you know the employee who was injured, make sure that you do not disseminate anything on Facebook or any other social media outlet.
We are also receiving additional information from our sources here at Local 4 that there is a police presence at a neighborhood in Macomb Township that is connected to the shooting at Corewell in Troy. That area is Heidenreich between Hall Road and 21 Mile Road. So if you live in that area or you are in that area and you see a police presence, police do believe that that scene there, that location is in connection to the shooting that happened this morning at the hospital parking structure in Troy at Corewell Health.
And so if you live in this particular area, do not go outside. Please allow the police to do their job and don't put yourself in harm's way. Allow them to do what they need to do to make sure this situation gets resolved as safely as it possibly can.
We're showing you a map here so you can see the location, but again, this is in Macomb Township. The area is Heidenreich between Hall Road and 21 Mile Road. You should avoid that area if you don't need to be in that area. If you live in that area, as you mentioned, Darnell, you should stay inside.
Yeah, it's very important because you don't want to hinder this investigation or be harmed by going outside. If you do have Ring cameras or something like that, you can keep an eye on the situation from your Ring camera as long as you're in a safe position or safe space. But do not go outside. If you live in the area and you're not home now and somehow you're watching us, just avoid going home at this point so the police can effectively do what they need to do and that you're safe as well.
If our camera crew can broaden out a little bit, just so you can see the presence of police there. We do see 2 police officers that are outside of a home, but as we take a broader look at the number of officers that seem to be focusing on that house, what does that tell you?
Well, they're not moving with a sense of urgency. It looks like they may be sitting on the house for a possible search warrant of some kind. It could possibly be because you don't see anybody moving at this time. The area is being secured, and so that could possibly be the case. It looks like they're walking.
This looks like this could be, and if our team can help us, this is still at Corwell Health. Okay. We are hearing per multiple sources that the suspect is now in custody. What you're looking at here is the location where the shooting happened outside of the Troy Hospital, the Corwell Health Hospital, in the parking structure. But this has been the scene we've been watching outside of the hospital where it does appear that officers are now leaving that scene, and multiple sources are confirming to us that the suspect that they've been looking for, a male that's a hospital employee, is now in custody.
Yeah, and the body language of these officers speaks to the hospital is definitely secure at this point. We heard that already from the lieutenant, but it does speak to no urgency, and it just speaks to that this scene looks to be secured.
And again, this was between 2 hospital employees, a shooting that happened in the parking structure sometime around 7 o'clock this morning. A 25-year-old male is alive and is in stable condition, received treatment in the emergency department. Nick Monticelli is there receiving this information along with us with an update.
Yeah, so Rhonda, the sources that you're talking about, I have 2 additional ones, so we can confirm that suspect now taken into custody at that location near 21 Mile and Heinrich Road in Macomb Township. There was a tactical unit that was sent there as well. So there's essentially a lot happening, but we can recap all of it. The fact that you've got this location, which, as you mentioned, you could tell by the way these officers are acting now that they know the suspect is not here, now in custody. The area that I was just standing, we're going to flip around just to give you a better idea. When I was live with you on my cell phone, is this neighborhood back on this side, which is just, about, I'd say, 400 or 500 yards on the other side of those woods where I was standing there. And taken into custody back in his home, or at a home, I should say. 21 Mile Road in Heinrich is approximately, I'm going to say 6 to maybe 8 miles down M59 to the north a mile up on Heinrich. So all of it happening all in this area. But if you remember, we had talked early on about the possibility that this shooter could have easily gotten into a vehicle and driven out of here before anybody knew what was happening. And that appears to be exactly what happened here, is that you've got the shooter that left the hospital here, headed onto M59, went east that direction, almost directly home, and would have been there in a matter of minutes. I mean, Hall Road at 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30-ish, is still pretty wide open, so you could have gotten there maybe 10 minutes. It wouldn't have taken long at all. But the bottom line, Rhonda, yes, that suspect now in custody. We're hoping, we know now that the 25-year-old victim inside is going to be okay in stable condition. So I suppose, again, a good ending, all things considered. But I think now we really should start talking about the mental and emotional toll on the rest of the people, especially inside that hospital, because I can't imagine, they were locked down for almost an hour and a half, if not longer, thinking that there was an active shooter, fearing that somebody could open a door if they were hiding in a closet or a room and shoot them. So there's going to be a lot of work to do from here on out in terms of just that mental recovery. This is a situation that unfortunately, the Oakland County Sheriff knows all too well. Mike Bouchard is keenly aware, going through Oxford and assisting with Michigan State Police and others. So there's a lot of things to happen. But again, the bottom line, the shooter now in custody at a home in Macomb Township after that shooting happening here in Troy.
And we should point out no one was killed. We do have one victim that's receiving treatment, but we're told that it was not life-threatening. That victim is alive, but certainly the anxiety and fear that everyone faced, whether you were inside of that hospital or quite frankly you weren't, but you knew somebody inside of the hospital, certainly is scary. But when you have a situation like that, you have to have an abundance of caution, which was the statement that we received from the hospital, saying out of an abundance of caution, you have to make sure.
Absolutely, and as law enforcement, you don't know, and so you have to exercise that due diligence. And again, this is the best possible outcome. This is the outcome that, as a law enforcement officer, we want to happen. And so this coordinated effort between the hospital staff, between the law enforcement, between the community, this is why we train for this. This is why we do it.
And we want to keep you updated from all angles of this as we cover this for you. Again, the shooter is now in custody, apprehended there in Macomb Township at a home in a neighborhood on Heidenreich. Kim DeGiulio is there right now. Kim, are you able to update us on what's happening there at the scene you are and what happened?
Yeah, guys, well, all of this information coming to us right now, but again, we just came to Macomb Township where we were told that this was potentially the house of that suspect. And again, Troy Police confirming that that suspect is in custody. I'm going to step aside here to give you a better picture of what's going on. You see this big SWAT vehicle. They just pulled up, so that does give you the indication that something, they are maybe taking that suspect into custody. Again, there is a strong police presence here. Macomb County Sheriff is here as well. So this is exactly kind of what we've been covering all day. But now we are in Macomb Township, which I know a lot of this has been taking place in Oakland County. So we're at the Widmer Woods. These look like condos. And right now you can just see that there is a strong police presence that keeps going into one of the houses. I think it's 2 or 3 houses back. But right now, still really unclear exactly what's happening, but we do know that we can kind of breathe a sigh of relief because of that confirmation that Troy Police have confirmed that the suspect is now in custody. So again, we're going to be here live this morning in Macomb Township. Again, this is at Heidenreich and Hall Road. That is near the intersection of where we're at right now. But yes, this is the location that we have likely confirmed that the suspect is in custody, guys.
All right, Kim, thank you for that update. We did get another update from the Corewell Health Troy, and we do want to show you that now they're giving the all clear. They're going to be going in through the process of going back to normal operations. So all clear at Corewell Troy. Suspect is in custody. A formal press release will be available soon. Now, if you have any loved ones there, if you're concerned, want to get in contact, want to visit, I would hold off on doing that. Certainly, there's a process that has to be in place to get things back to normal operations. So please allow Corewell Health to be able to do that. But again, we just want to update. There was a shooting that happened at the Corewell Health location in Troy in a parking structure between 2 employees, one employee shooting another. The 25-year-old victim, a male who works at the hospital, treated at the hospital and is in stable condition. The shooter is now in Troy police custody, apprehended at his home, or at a home, I should say, in Macomb Township, there in that Heidenreich Hall Road area where a very large police presence is still, but certainly anybody that lives in that area, the all clear has at least been given that suspect is now in custody. We will continue to gather more information throughout the morning, keep you updated both on clickondetroit.com, Click on Detroit, our mobile app as well. We'll continue to keep this story updated throughout the morning, and of course, join you back here on Local 4 News at noon, or break in if there's any new information we need to pass along.
Woo. Woo.